So Incel through Intel, Berg's first try. There's something that Taylor does have on Berg. It's Gene Christopherson. And the fact that me and her knew that she was trying to not just do the Timothy McVeigh Incel pipe bomb bullshit that John claims he could convince juries of people he's contracted with. It was actually Skylar Redmond and Matt Mahon. Matt Mahon's used because he knows all the victims that died, and Skylar doesn't know them as well. But Skylar's used because of Piper and McGann, but also as of the counselor that he worked with at that camp when he had to be a camp counselor for kids. And he's not a fucking weird ass like that. So obviously, like, he was like, on his heads, but fucking, whatever, dude. Fucking kind of like I was the head karate instructor guy, and they wanted me to be like get licensed for it. Woohoo, dude! We could have cool things in our life. You know what? We do cool shit every fucking day. Leave us the fuck alone. Anyways, your first incel thing would actually be Gene Christopherson, who everybody called Gino through drug dealing and shit. And then you could use that for like Evan Brown and all that, and even the Dan Harcourt and me and Dennis Varick, biggest weed dealer in all Oregon, ecstasy thing, and all that. And you would go into Genome and John Berg saying he knows about compressing his own pills and stuff like that, and manslaughter charges. But what they're looking for is Gino being an incel and shooting Matt Mahon's dad. An explanation for that about why they knew about the Clackamas Town Center shooting, and then link that to the Umpqua Community College shooting, using Tiffany and O'Shea's business, who was outside of the Clackamas Town Center during that shooting. Why I have the beauty college place sticking up for me against Tiffany and O'Shea. But then you have Avante here, who's using the Umpqua Community College shooting, and Karen Fabiano, who knew about it on the National Guardianship Board and thought that this is how police investigations go and all of that, while the police themselves were trying to get Norm Miller and Nolan Borders out of being an incel by the God Warrior, who claimed that he had to have these contracts with these people because he was after an incel cop. Then they all got caught and used different excuses and bribes to constantly hide why John Berg really contracted himself and who he was really after. And in the end, to protect each other and themselves, they were going to give themselves immunity and let the actual incel that they were after go, so they don't have to embarrass the entire Oregon government about why they were going to try and sue the federal government, get state funding from them, and kind of have a power play with who's better than who inside of our nationwide governmental system here. Because the actual claim was you have three incels: Nolan Borders, Norm Miller, and their setup rookie, Officer Troy Gaynor. And you have Dennis Varick embarrassed about the whole thing. And Dennis Varick saying, and that's why he said he would put me in witness protection and we could fake my murder. He was actually threatening to murder me if I ever talked about the incel police serial killer that me and Troy Gaynor thought we were after. And the reason for Norm Miller trying to hide it so much to blame Nolan Borders, and why Officer Doug Carpenter and Officer Varick worked so hard to actually set Gaynor up on being an incel killer for John Berg, the God Warrior, and Rock Pizzo, the little fucking midget from Lethal Weapon. Oh, and then you find out why they were trying to make me or convince people that I would shoot up a school, and why Ricky Gray and Keith Gray and Addie Gray convinced Bonnie Boom that she could turn me into an incel killer by keeping me away from everybody and all that stuff. And inside, I would have a deep governmental rage and they could explain any murder or anything as something that I convinced the government to do, or that I myself had an involvement or an infatuation with, causing it to be an involuntary manslaughter because of my part in what I say about such things, deleting the incel killer thing and turning it into me and why I have all these contracts.